Today, we're going to be talking about how to get people to actually engage with you, how to actually get them to say yes and move forward into your world. So there are 5 stages that any potential customer or client goes through before ever doing anything with you. And if you miss any one of these, you leave so much money on the table. So today we're going to go over this. And if you're serious, before we begin, if you're serious about generating never-ending leads, go to ventobot.com and get the new book for free. Just pay shipping. All right, so back to this here. We're going to go ahead and look at the before section. Before, everyone talks about the customer journey, and there's something that happens before we actually move them into our world and get them to say yes and help them out so that they can eventually become a customer or client with us. So how to do that. There are 5 simple steps that everyone goes through. And so this is something I learned from a friend of mine, Dean Jackson, where he talks about this. Most people go immediately for the, hey, can I help you with this? Because you have something that can solve what people need. However, it's not often what they want. So what they want and what they need are usually 2 different things. And what ends up happening there is you start on the wrong side of things. You say, I can help you with this. This is how we do it. You pay me this amount of money, blah, 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 blah. And then they're like, no, it checked out. It's like someone going up to you and asking you for like, hey, with the clipboard, they walk up to you and they're like, hey, can you sign this for me? You don't know who they are. You don't know what they're selling, and they're asking you to do something before you even get to know them. That's often what a lot of people do, and they end up kind of going to, and they say like, hey, do this, buy now, buy this, and start with us here. This is how I can help you. Just give me money, right? That is not the best way to do it. And most people know that if you give results in advance, you end up actually helping the person faster, and you're able to actually get them a result, and they trust you. Then they're thinking, what's next? How can you help me next? What can I do further with you? And they start leaning into you, and that's how you get them into your world to do that. So the first stage everyone goes through is, first, we have to identify if they're even willing to engage with us. And let me write that in here really quick. Because if they are not willing to engage with us, what ends up happening is that we start kind of talking to a wall, right? You end up talking to someone that's not even willing to talk back to you. They're not even willing to have a conversation. And it's like walking up to, in my instance, a guy walking up to a girl and saying like, hey, will you marry me? Immediately I'm going for the close, right? The lifetime deal or whatever that looks like. And I don't even know if they're willing to talk to me. So that is very important if you're looking to keep them and get them going. That's the first stage that people go through, so that you can get them into your world and get them to continue moving forward with you. You need to make sure, are they willing to engage first? So next we'll move into like, what is the second stage? Once they're willing to engage, we know that they're willing to take what we have to offer. We started a conversation with them. And if you're anything like me, you know that conversations lead to relationships, and relationships lead to business. So that is how we start that. We flip it on its side, and we don't immediately go for the, will you marry me? Will you buy this from me? Will you do this? We start with a, hey, are you willing to do this? Are you willing to have a conversation about this? And that is simply turning them invisible by saying, do you have this problem? And if they do, they'll start to talk to you and say, hey, great, this is how we start that process, and this is how we go about it, right? So now once we understand that they're willing to engage with us, we then move into the second stage. And this is something on our end, because I bet you're a bit like me, and often you've run into, and you started helping someone, started working with a client or customer, and you don't love it, you hate it, you absolutely despise the way you work with them, or something is, maybe it's not that harsh, maybe instead it doesn't fit well with your lifestyle, with the way you chose to service people. Maybe it's too much. They're someone who is constantly needing something else from you, or vice versa, right? There's something always missing, or it's just not a good relationship. So once we understand if they're willing to engage with us, we then move them into the second stage, is, are they friendly and cooperative? Do they fall within the realm of, do we even want to help them? Is that something that we mesh well with? Because not everyone is going to be for me, and I'm not going to be for everyone as well. And that's sort of the same thing goes for you. Now, before I forget, if you're serious about generating never-ending leads, go ahead and go over to ventobot.com/book. Get the new book so you can go ahead and get it. It's free. Just go ahead and pay shipping there. Now, back to the second stage here. We're talking about if they are friendly and cooperative. Now, once we understand that there, then we start to move them into that third phase. But those first two stages are very important because if we mesh well with this potential customer or client, we can then move them into a place of now we love working with them. We absolutely love helping this person. And that allows us to move into that next stage, right? Is do they know blink, they blink. Right? And we'll get to that in a second. So that is important to understand. We're not just starting with the, hey, will you marry me? We then move them into this other section of like, hey, do you have this problem? We have them raise their hand and give them this, whatever you may call it, freebie, and say, like, here's a checklist, here's a cheat sheet, here's a walkthrough, whatever that may look like. And it gets them an initial step forward, and it gives them a way to actually say, hey, I have this problem, that I have this want, and I need it to be solved. You eventually know what they need, and when we get there, we'll go ahead and do that. We'll offer that next step to them. But before that, we first have to understand, are they even willing to engage with us? They may not be looking for the solution that we have. They may not even know that what they want is exactly the solution that we'll have. And then once we understand that they're willing to talk to us and have a conversation, we then move them into that second stage. Is, are they friendly and cooperative? Do we like working with them? Do we like helping this person? Are we able to actually help this person? Because if they're not willing to cooperate, if they're not friendly enough to be able to take that criticism or constructive advice, then how are we going to help that person if it's always going to be banging up against the wall, like running into a dead end in that case? Now, once that is done and once that is established, you then move them into the third phase, and that is essentially, do they know what they want? Because once they know what they want, we can then start to identify and seed what they actually need. Because like I mentioned earlier, we talked about they want something and what they need is often entirely different. So for example, let me use fitness, for example. Someone who wants, for example, six-pack abs, we know that they need a health regimen, they need a workout, they need a meal plan that guides them, a lifestyle change that guides them to that specific outcome. However, that is not what they want. If you lead with, hey, I'm going to give you a meal plan, I'm going to give you workouts, I'm going to give you XYZ, and that's going to give you six-pack abs, most people will say, no, thank you. I want just a workout to get me six-pack abs. So and that's how we transition that. This is what they want, and we know what they need. So, for example, in walking them through those steps here, are they willing to engage? If they're willing to say, like, here is your checklist, your download, here's your 3 exercises to get six-pack abs, or whatever that may look like, then you move into the next phase. Are they actually friendly and cooperative? Do they reach out? Do they share it? Do they do whatever it is the next step is? Like, that's join the Facebook group, for example, to ask questions further on those exercises and how to make it possible to them. Then we've identified that they're not just willing to engage, but they're friendly and cooperative. And then the third step, they know what they want. They know they want those six-pack abs. And then we can transition them into that fourth step. And that fourth step is simply just, do they know when they want it? So is this a right now thing, or is this a maybe later, or is this a like nice to have thing? Because then you can start to identify, and it doesn't mean that you say goodbye to the people that are nice to have or later, because a lot of people focus on the buy right now people. That's such a small percentage of people in the world today, whereas most people will buy 30 days to 90 days to 2 years out. Now, before I forget, if you're serious about generating never-ending leads, go to bentobot.com/book so that you can generate those. It's free. Just go ahead and pay shipping, and we'll get it sent over to you. Now, back to this fourth step here. Do they know when they want it? So let's go ahead and type that, want it. And that is how we move them into that fourth phase there. So that fourth phase, that fourth step here is, once we've identified what they want and they know what they want. We've helped them say it better than they can. We're essentially being the voice inside our customer's head and saying, like, to get six-pack abs, you follow these steps, but without the proper nutrition and meal plan or lifestyle change, those exercises won't get you the results that you want, or whatever that may look like, right? So for example, if you're looking to generate leads, then just being able to like have a service that people need isn't enough, right? You know that you want leads. However, what you need is a transition of, you need a system that actually attracts the right people, that engages them at the right time, that elevates them through the process, and then finally converts them into clients and customers. And that is how you get that, right? That is how you get those never-ending leads. So before I forget, if you want to get our new book, the Complete Automation Strategy, go to bentobot.com/book so that you can actually download, you'll be able to get the book for free. Just pay shipping and you'll be able to get it. We'll send it right over to you so that you can generate never-ending leads. Now, that fourth step is when they want it, right? When they want it. Do they know, is it right now? If it's right now, great. This is the next step. This is how you move it even faster. If they want it later, great, no problem. These are the steps to get there, and you can take as long as you need to get there. And that's when you start creating that content, which we're not talking about today. But that is now how you move them into this last step, because now what they know what they want, they're willing to talk to us, they're friendly and cooperative, they know what they want, they know when they want it. And then this final step is, now we can ask them, do you want us to help you? And that is the most important thing. If you start with that, people are immediately turned off and shut off, and they don't want to do anything with you. Now, if you start from the reverse side, like, hey, do you have this problem? Great. We start a conversation. Then you move into the next step, is you start to say, well, are they friendly and cooperative? Do I want to work with this person? Can I help them? Do I like helping them? Do I like where they're at? Do they work within my structure? And then we identify what it is they want. Then we tell them and we ask them, like, when is it that you want? Is this right now, later, or maybe someday thing? And then finally, it's at the end, like, do they want us to help them? And then it's as simple as saying, do you want even more support with that? Right here is the six-pack abs 3 exercise cheat sheet or checklist, or 3 exercises to get the six-pack abs in it. To be like, great, guess what? I have a meal plan for a month for you. It's only like X amount of dollars. And then the final step is, do you want someone to hold you accountable so you can ask specific questions to that? Let's get on a call and do that. So now you finally ask them, what do they want us to help them? And that is how you can go about it. Now, before I forget, if you want to generate never-ending leads, go to bentobot.com/book and get it. You can get it for free. Just pay shipping and we'll send it right over to you. So let's put this here. They want us to help them. Cool. So if you have any questions, if you haven't gotten it yet, go ahead and go to bentobot.com, because if you're serious about generating never-ending leads, go to bentobot.com/book, and you can get the book now for free. Just pay shipping and it'll be sent over to you, and we'll be able to start walking through not just this is just a little bit of what's inside of there. And then on top of that, you'll be walking through our main 4 phases, which is attract, engage, elevate, and then finally converting. So each of those phases is necessary to set up correctly, so you have a system to bring in leads, to engage with them, to elevate them through your process and structure, and finally convert them. So if you're serious about doing that, go to bentobot.com/book and go ahead, do that, and I'll see you next time.